Biden looks to prevent future president from ending Ukraine war with 10-year agreement. Now, how do they know the war's going to last up to 10 years? This is sick. This is sick. They want to continue to funding their money laundering scheme in Ukraine. They want to continue to fund the Nazis in Ukraine. They want to continue to fund the corruption in Ukraine without any type of accountability. We don't know where the money is going. No one is looking at where the money is going. And this is again, they're funding their money laundering scheme. Every American should be upset about this. Should be upset about the billions of dollars that they want to launder through Ukraine when we got American citizens here suffering. Inflation's at an all-time high. Government continue to spend and spend and spend, and they're not trying to balance the budget at all. They just continue to send money overseas. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from The Great Zero Hedge and by Tyler Durden. We all know that's a pseudonym. But he reports that soon on the heels of President Biden last week signing into law a $61 billion aid package for Ukraine's defense, President Vladimir Zelensky on Sunday indicated that he's working with Washington on a bilateral security agreement which would last 10 years. That's right. Not 4 years, not 5 years, not 8 years. 10 years. I don't know if there's ever been a type of package like this before where we agreed to send billions of dollars to fund the war for 10 years. I don't even think the war in Iraq was paid for in 10 years for 10 years. But quote, we are already working on specific texts, Zelensky said in his nightly video address. Our goal is to make this agreement the strongest of all. So again, not funding, not sending billions of dollars to HBCUs like Trump did. Not helping small businesses out by sending money to helping people get grants and stuff like that and loans for small businesses. He want to send billions of dollars to another country to fight a war that has absolutely nothing to do with us. But quote, we are discussing the specific foundations of our security and cooperation. We are also working on fixing specific levels of support for this year and the next year. The next 10 years. He indicated it is likely to include agreements on long-term support centering on military hardware and joint arms production, as well as continuing reconstruction aid. Quote, this agreement should be truly exemplary and reflect the strength of American leadership, Zelensky added. But ultimately, a key purpose in locking such a long-term deal in would be to keep it immune from potential interference by a future Trump administration. They know Trump will come in and get rid of all this aid that we're sending to foreign countries and put Americans first. And that's what they're afraid of. They don't care anything about us Americans. They show it by everything they're voting for. Look at the globalists that is running our country. Look at how easily they sent $61 billion more dollars to this corrupt country. But below is what the Wall Street Journal spelled out last year. This is last year. Listen. The goal is to make sure Ukraine will be strong enough in the future to deter Russia from attacking it again. More immediately, Ukraine's Western allies hope to discourage the Kremlin from thinking it can wait out the Biden administration for a potential more sympathetic successor in the White House. Western officials are looking for ways to lock in pledges of support and limit future governments' abilities to backtrack amid fears in European capitals that Donald Trump, if he recaptures the White House, would seek to scale back aid. Trump has a wide lead in early polling in the Republican presidential primary field, but soundly lost the 2020 election to President Biden and has been indicated in 4 criminal cases in state and federal courts. Now, this is last year. They've been planning this way back last year. We and others have previously underscored that NATO and G7 countries are desperately trying to Trump-proof future aid to Ukraine and the effort to counter Russia. As for its first weapons package in wake of the $61 billion being authorized, the Biden administration has announced new arms packages totaling $7 billion. The U.S. has vowed to rush the weapons to Kiev, given that by all indicators, its forces are not doing well on the front lines. Again, it's just a huge money suck. They're just taking up all of our money. And this is crazy that our government is allowed to get away with this. But, quote, we are still waiting for the supplies promised to Ukraine. We expect exactly the volume and content of supplies that can change the situation on the battlefield in the interest of Ukraine. But remember, they've been telling us for months that Ukraine been kicking butt, and we all knew, I've been saying that been a lie, that Russia is kicking Ukraine's butt, but they continue to spew out the propaganda, because if they were winning, they wouldn't be asking for so many more weapons and stuff. But Zelensky had said over the weekend, quote, and it is important that every agreement we have reached is implemented, everything that will yield practical results on the battlefield and boost the morale of everyone on the front line. In a conversation with Mr. Jeffries, I emphasized the need for Patriot systems. They are needed as soon as possible. I'm talking about Jeffries. He's the head of the Democratic Party. Again, when are they going to start putting Americans first? They don't care anything about us. And again, they show us that they don't care by sending foreign aid to other countries while we're here suffering. But all of this means the war will be prolonged, and this puts negotiations much further away on the horizon, despite what are now daily acknowledgments of Ukraine forces being beaten back. Again, this is the plan. They want this war to last forever, so they can continue to suck the money from taxpayers. Currently, the government of Greece and Spain are being pressured by EU and NATO leadership to hand over what few Patriot systems they possess to Kiev. The rationale is that they don't need them as urgently as Ukraine does. Again, they're trying to make this another forever war that they can continue to pilfer and plunder American tax dollars. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.